Hey there, I'm Jeff Heggie. Devin from Arizona Entrepreneurs asked me if I'd put together a little bit of a training video here, and so I'm excited to be able to share this with you, and I'm excited to be a part of Arizona Entrepreneurs and everything that he's got going there. So first of all, you can find me at jeffheggie.com or follow me on Instagram at jeffhaggiecoaching. I'm a business coach. I live in Gilbert, Arizona, and love to talk to more of you. If you're interested, just let me know, and you can contact me as well at jeff@jeffhaggie.com. What I want to do is I want to start with a story. As entrepreneurs, many of you have probably heard of the name Sarah Blakely, but I want to talk a little bit about her story and pull out a few things that can teach us all some lessons. So Sarah Blakely, as you may or may not know, she started with $5,000, started the company Spanx, and was the first self-made woman billionaire who didn't inherit or get any of the money from her husband or spouse or anything. But obviously there's a lot more to the story than that. And so when you look at Sarah's story, you go back and she identifies the age of 16 as a real turning point in her life. There's a lot of things that happened in her life at that point. But one of the things I'm going to focus on was the fact that her parents split up at that time. And she talks about when her parents were splitting up and her dad was moving out, he came into her bedroom and threw 12 cassette tapes on her bed. And it was Wayne Dyer's How to Become a No Limit Person. And he said to her, I wish I would have had these when I was 16 rather than in my 40s. And most 16-year-olds would probably take those, throw them in their closet, and never see them again. Well, Sarah was at a really critical juncture in her life at that point, and she actually started listening to him. And she listened to him so much that she says she had all 12 sides memorized and she could repeat it by heart. And she even talks about when they'd go to parties or whatever in high school, no one would want to drive home with her after because they'd say, oh, we'd have to listen to that crap she listens to. But then she also reflects back 15 years later when she was on the cover of Forbes magazine that she got some texts from some old high school friends that said, maybe we should have listened to that stuff. But I want to talk a little bit about that because when she got those tapes from her father and she started listening to them, she really started to absorb them and started to get into the personal development space. And not only Wayne Dyer, she started listening to everybody and she really started to take it serious. And one thing that really made a difference to her, she said she'd been going to school for all these years, being taught what to think, but no one had taught her how to think. And this was opening her mind and allowing her to see that when things happened to her, she had the ability to choose how she thought about it and decide how she was going to think and how she was going to react to things. So one of the things she wanted to do is she wanted to grow up to be a lawyer just like her father. Problem was she took the LSAT 2 times and failed miserably. So she finally determined that wasn't in her cards and she had to look at something else. And the next best thing, she headed to Disney World in Florida to try out to be Goofy. Well, unfortunately, to be Goofy, you've got to be at least 5'8", and she was 5'6", but that did allow her to become a chipmunk. Fortunately, she only was a chipmunk for about 3 months before she moved on to another job, and she started going to doing door-to-door sales and cold calling, selling fax machines. Now, anyone that's been in a sales position like that, where you're doing cold calling or door-to-door, you know it's a tough position, and there's usually a lot of turnover. But she was very good at it. She was a very good salesperson, but she didn't love it, but she was very good. And she was in it for 7 years in Clearwater, Florida. Anyways, she was getting fed up with it. And she recalls sitting in her car one day. She pulls over and she just thought to herself, she says, this isn't the life I want. This isn't what I want to do. And this isn't what my future is going to hold. And she just said out loud, she said, universe, give me an idea and I won't squander it. So she was looking for any idea that she could have. And she went home that night and she got into her journal, split it down the middle, and put strengths and weaknesses and started figuring out where her strengths were and where her weaknesses are. And one of the things that she knew she was very strong at was sales. And she had proven that in selling fax machines for 7 years. So what she decided she was going to invent something to sell to millions of people that would bring joy into their lives. But she didn't know what it was. And so that's the point that she had made that decision. She was confident she could figure that out. And she just put it out to the universe. What is it that I need to invent and sell and help bring joy into people's lives? Well, great story if she could say, she had an epiphany and figured it out right away. That wasn't the case. But she was very diligent. She asked herself consistently and constantly asking, what is it that I need to invent? What is it that I need to have that I can sell and bring joy to people? And it was 2 years later, she had continued to go through this process of continually asking and looking for these things. And it was 2 years later, she was getting ready for a party. She cut the bottoms out of her control top pantyhose and went to the party. That night when she got home, as she was taking the pantyhose off, she thought, this is it, I figured it out. And that's when Spanx was born. Now, the whole idea of what happened sounds like a fairy tale. She cut him out, moved on, created this billion-dollar company. The truth is, it was quite the journey, and she was really hustling and grinding to make this a success. So it's a great story. As an entrepreneur, if you haven't heard it, it's worth finding it and going and listening to the rest of the story or reading the rest of the story. But what I want to talk a little bit more about is the fact that she had spent 2 years focused on figuring out what she wanted to do, what she wanted to invent so that she could sell it. So what happened? She says there's millions of women that were doing the same thing she was doing. But the difference of where she is now versus all those other women that were already cutting the bottoms out of their pantyhose is that she had been having that habitual question in her mind of looking for what that opportunity could be. And so when the opportunity was there, she recognized it. And so that's what I want to talk more about, is the power of asking questions and the power of knowing what we want. You know, I want you to think about the conversations you have in your head, the self-talk that you have. I want to propose to you that it's a series of questions and answers. Do you believe that? Now, when you think of that, you probably said to yourself, is that what I really do? You're thinking in the form of questions. And then you just thought, did I think that? That's how our brain works, is we think in questions and answers. We're consistently asking ourselves questions. So there's a real power in what we do with those questions that we ask, those habitual questions that we have all the time. And, you know, you can recognize it in people. Some people are always asking the questions, why me? Why did that happen to me? Why do I think I can accomplish something like that? When other people are saying, why not? Why couldn't that be me? And there's a huge difference in the overall outcome. Let's take Sean Stevenson as an example. If you know who that is, you know he's done some amazing things in the world. He was born with a disease called osteogenesis imperfecta. I believe that's what it's called. And I believe the short term is brittle bone syndrome. Now, when he was born, most of the bones in his body were broken. And the doctors told his parents that he probably wouldn't live very long. Now, fortunately, he did live quite a while. And the problem was, growing up, he was in a lot of pain, had a lot of problems. When he became an adult, he was only 3 feet tall. Now, if anyone could be asking those questions, why me? Why do I have to go through this? He's very legitimate, the person that could be in that situation. But he wasn't that type of person. He was the type of person that said, how can I take my situation and make other people's lives better? When he was 17 years old, he became a public speaker and motivating people. He went to school and he graduated, I believe, in 2001 in political science. Then he wrote a book and started speaking again. And then he wanted a little more authority, so he went back to school and became a registered therapist. Then he started speaking and writing again. And go on YouTube, he's got some amazing stuff on there. Unfortunately, in, I believe it was August of 2019, he had a fall, hit his head, and he didn't recover from it, and he passed away. But he's left a legacy with him, and he's such a great example of someone who chose to ask the right questions, who chose to have the right attitude, and instead of saying, why me, he is asking, what can I do for other people? What can I use my situation to help other people? Now, where I want to go from that is the questions that we ask on a habitual basis really are directing our life. I want to look at our reticular activating system, the RAS. If you don't know what that is, you'll recognize what it is once I share some stories with you. So I'm originally from Canada. When we moved down here to Arizona, I bought my daughter a little Spider Mitsubishi convertible car. I had never seen this car before, but after I bought it, I started seeing this car everywhere. It wasn't the fact that all of a sudden everyone else around me bought the car as well. Or it's the same thing as when you buy a new outfit and all of a sudden you see other people in the same outfit. Or you're walking through a crowded building and it's noisy and someone across the way says your name and you pick that out throughout all the noise. Your reticular activating system is a filter. There's so many things going on around us, from the beating of our heart, the air against our skin, whatever's happening. We can't possibly pay attention to all of it. But our reticular activating system helps us to filter out and recognize the things that are important to us. And so that car wasn't important to me before. I didn't know anything about it. Now that we had one, I started recognizing it. When you buy a new outfit, you see it on other people because it's something important to you. When you hear your name, it's important to you. Those things stand out. So why not use that to your advantage? You can use the reticular activating system to help you achieve the life that you desire and help you to develop the mindset to have a winning life, and a powerful mindset at that. So how do you do that? What I've done, I've developed what I call my mindset journal, and it includes some journaling activities, some short journaling activities, from morning stuff to evening stuff to weekly stuff, just to get some creativity and get some thoughts flowing. But one of the most powerful things that I found is what I call my daily mindset questions. And what I do is I have a set of questions that I go through every morning and another set that I go through in the evenings. And these are just things. So let's take, for example, the morning mindset questions. It's about 8 questions that I go through that just get me thinking about certain things to prime me for the day. One of them, I think the most important one on there, is how am I going to step out of my comfort zone today? And why I put that one in there is because look at anything you've done that was uncomfortable to begin with, and now you do it just as a regular thing. Well, if you're doing something, stepping out of your comfort zone, and it becomes easy for you, and then you look for something else to step out of your comfort zone, that thing eventually becomes easy. Pretty soon, your comfort zone is huge. So if public speaking is difficult for you, if that's where your comfort zone is limited, go live on Instagram and commit yourself to do that for a few days in a row. Pretty soon, it's not that big of a deal. Then you've got to stretch yourself further once that's not out of your comfort zone anymore. Anyways, we got those questions that we go through on a daily basis to prime us for the day. At the end of that, I have you write out all your goals, usually about 5 goals, your main goals. And then I also, from Napoleon Hill, your definite chief aim. I love in chapter 2 on desire of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, he teaches you how to create a definite chief aim and a statement. He goes through 6 steps to do that. And so I have you write out your goals, your definite chief aim, and that sets you for the day. And when your reticular activating system comes into play there, what it is you're saying those are important things to you. All those things that you answered in those questions, all those goals that you're looking at, those are important to you. As soon as you ask yourself a question, your mind is looking for an answer. So when you start to have things happening in your life that could answer those questions, you're going to recognize it where other times you might not have even paid attention to it. So there's a lot of power there. At the end of the day, there's another set of questions, and it's just kind of reflecting back on the day and some more things to kind of get your conscious and subconscious. Actually, one of them is talking about what are the things your subconscious and conscious mind need to be preparing for tomorrow. So these are all questions just to help you to prime yourself, to prime your mind, and help your reticular activating system to recognize the things that are going to help you create powerful results. So there's a number of ways that we can pull all these together. I mentioned in my mindset journal, there's also some journaling things, and we keep them short. I don't want you spending an hour a day journaling because you wouldn't stay consistent with it. But there's actually, if you want to learn about the power of journaling, Benjamin Hardy is fantastic at it. And a lot of the things that I have in my mindset journal are based on things that I learned through him, and I've listed some of the questions he asks, especially for your morning journaling, some of the things that help you prime yourself and get your mind flowing for the day. But hopefully that's something that's beneficial to you. The mindset questions are very valuable. If those specific, a lot of these things with my clients, I'll give them my list of mindset questions, but I'll also say personalize some for you. You might need to change yours to fit you some, but if you want to see mine, you can go to jeffheggie.com. It's jeffheggie.com/mindset. There's a little bit of an article there. You can get access to my mindset questions. You can also find my mindset journal on there to download. But love, as part of Arizona Entrepreneurs, anyone that's interested and wants to learn more about these things, how some of these mindset strategies might be beneficial to you, I'd love to set up a free 45-minute strategy call. So send me a message at jeff@jeffheggie.com. Just tell me that you heard it here and we can set something up, and I'd be happy to talk to you. I also do have a full course on developing a powerful mindset and really finding your true potential. I've got it set up that you can just go through the course. It's a 6-week course. You can do it through the academy, which is a 6-week course plus some one-on-one coaching. Or if you have a team, either an athletic team or a sales team or any sort of team, I also do it in a team environment where everyone goes through the course, and I also do group coaching with it. If you're interested in that, go to mindset.jeffheggie.com. But hopefully this is helpful for you. Love for you also to follow my podcast, Jeff Heggie Daily Success Strategies. But thanks for supporting Arizona Entrepreneurs, and thank you, Devin, for all that you're doing. Appreciate it, and take care. Bye.